Hey guys, welcome to Boxing Squared for boxing news and views from around the internet. Joyce is the big winner in 2 of the 4 major sanctioning bodies' rankings updates. So he has surged in the WBO as well as the WBC. And for the WBA and IBF, for Joyce's purposes, it might be a timing issue in terms of when they do their updates. But we will cover those 2 sanctioning body ranking updates at the back end of this video with the major movements. But in terms of the WBO, that's where we will start first. So you can see here on screen Joyce number 2 behind Oleksandr Uysk. So previously he had been down at number 11 and he rises all the way to number 2 because he beat Daniel Dubois. And you can see there Joyce is listed as having the international title. Daniel Dubois was the former holder. Actually, Daniel Dubois tumbles all the way down to number 11. So basically just swaps places with Joyce. So it's quite interesting. There's a couple of things going on here with this ranking and that belt that he's now got the international title. Because the WBO president, Paco Valcárcel, was making all sorts of noises in Fight Week. He wasn't happy with the British Boxing Board of Control. Because the British title was on the line, as well as the European, as well as the Commonwealth title. They weren't allowing other sort of trinkets to be on the line, the sanctioning body belts. And that's quite commonplace. But Paco Valcárcel was making all sorts of noises, and there were all sorts of, not outright threats, but there were between the line threats that potentially the belt wouldn't be there, maybe the ranking wouldn't be honoured, or all sorts of things that you were like, well, what's going to happen here? But clearly hot here, they've put him up to number 2. He does have the international title according to this ranking. So whatever he was saying pre-fight hasn't materialized. And the other thing, which is perhaps more important, if the WBO belt becomes vacant, Joyce would be facing Oleksandr Uysk. And I know that there were some Joseph Parker fans around thinking that maybe Joseph Parker would end up going up to number 2. It hasn't happened. Joyce in there at number 2. He will get a shot against Oleksandr Uysk if, and that is a big if, the belt becomes vacant. We have no guarantees that is going to happen. There's been speculation from fans and pundits alike, but at the moment Anthony Joshua does hold it at the time of this video being recorded. We'll have to see what happens with that belt, but Joyce obviously in a much better position than he was pre the Daniel Dubois fight, and he usurps Daniel Dubois at number 2. And for the rest of the ranking here, the top 15, it is just the same as it was last month. So there's not really much to sort of write home about in terms of the rest of it. Everything is the same, except that those 2 changes, which were Daniel Dubois and Joyce swapping around. Moving on to the WBC. Remembering that Daniel Dubois was the former silver title holder, and similar to the WBO situation, that wasn't a belt that was, listed or certainly called out on fight night. It was the European, it was the British title, the Commonwealth title, but Joyce is now the holder of the silver title. I'd be interested to know though, with the international title for the WBO, the silver title here, did he still have to pay the fees outside of, the official stuff with the British Boxing Board of Control? I'd be interested in that. If you have any thoughts on that, please let me know. I think he probably would have to, right? I don't know. But anyway, you can see here, he is at number 5 in the rankings. And that's actually higher than Daniel Dubois was previously. Dubois, last month, he was the silver title as well as the other belts that he held. He was at number 7. So Joyce, who was all the way down at number 11, he climbs 6 places up to number 5. And the rest of the top 15, there is actually not a whole bunch of movement, but there is one omission. So Oscar Rivas, he was previously at number 8 last month. He is now gone, and that's because he's been listed in the WBC's bridgerweight division rankings, and that's at a number 1. So clearly, whenever that division comes online, he's going to get a title shot immediately. And it makes you wonder if he, because I think some of these guys who have been ranked at bridgerweight and, who've either come up from cruiserweight or down from heavyweight, they must have been asked about this. And in Rivas's case, he previously wasn't happy with the incident with the gloves from the Dillian White fight. He had petitioned the WBC at its 2019 convention, that he should be mandatory, that he should get a big fight, and that he had been wronged. And off the back of that, they put him up to number 3 in the rankings, but slowly he's fallen down. Is there some sort of make good sort of situation? I don't know, but Oscar Rivas was 239 pounds for his last fight, so he is going to have to trim down, and he hasn't been at or below the bridgerweight limit since 2009. So yeah, make of that what you will, but the heavyweight division losing Oscar Rivas. He drops out from the WBC rankings, and Filip Hrgović takes his spot there at number 8. But apart from that, there's really not too much sort of more here, except Tony Yoka comes in at number 15. So Carlos Takam, who had been at number 15 last month, he dips out. Tony Yoka, who had a fight against Christian Hammer, he comes in at number 15. The rest of the other changes within the top 15 here, a place here or there, sort of people swapping around, but that's because there's been a little bit of movement with the likes of Dubois, Joyce, and Rivas dropping out. But Joe Joyce, number 5 in the WBC, he is now number 2 in the WBO, and for the IBF, see here on screen, he is now number 11. So that's up 2 places. But with this one, because the IBF and the WBA, and I've held back these rankings for a week or so, just because I wanted to sort of see what the WBO and WBC did, because I like sort of putting these all together type videos so you get a general picture of what's going on. But they have their timings at the end of each month. So perhaps in Joe Joyce's case, whatever ranking movements were decided before his fight with Daniel Dubois. That is a possibility, although he is up 2 places here. But in terms of the rest of the rankings, there's not a whole lot of movement. You have Filip Hrgović off the back of a recent win. He's up to number 5 spot, but the top 4, they remain the same. Interestingly, though, Tom Schwartz, you can see down all the way at number 15 there. He dropped 7 places from number 8. And I suspect some of that has to do with inactivity. He hasn't been in the ring for some time. There wasn't some sort of incident allegedly where he may have struck a woman or something like that, some sort of investigation with his promoter. All the details haven't come out on that, but he hasn't been fighting. And based on the fact that he's done nothing essentially since he lost to Tyson Fury 18 months ago, I'm not sure how he was number 8 in the rankings anyway. So maybe it's some justice that he's actually falling down. Tony Yoka, he's up a spot. Junior Fa, he's up a spot as well. You also have Zhang Zhilei, the Chinese heavyweight, following his recent win over Devin Vargas. He is also up, should I say, into the rankings at number 14. Otto Wallin, he's up a spot as well at number 13. But largely the same for this one here. But interestingly, with the final of the major sanctioning body, so the WBA, see here on screen, it's basically the same as it was the previous month. But then you have at number 9, and I just can't explain this, Bogdan Dinu. He's come out of nowhere to go into number 9. I'm wondering if this is some sort of typo or error or something like that, because previously at number 9 was the WBA's continental belt holder, Agi Kabayel. But all of a sudden he's out of the rankings altogether. So maybe this is some sort of, mistake or foible from the WBA here, but it's hard to sort of know because this could be legit. The WBA does do these weird things where they just place someone in the rankings out of nowhere, a la Chris Arreola, who earlier this year when there was talk of a Ruiz fight, all of a sudden got parachuted into number 7 at the time. He's since fallen a place to number 8, but still remains there. And if this Bogdan Dinu entrance into the top 15 is legit, which it's not on merit, clearly, it must be because he's going to be facing someone above him. And if I was to hazard a guess, I would think it would be Charles Martin, because looking at the rest of them, you would hope they'd have some bigger and better options on their plate, or they've just fought. But, who really knows? But it would either be Charles Martin, Adam Kovnatsky, or at a push, Luis Ortiz. But Luis Ortiz just had a tune-up, so I don't know. Or maybe even Chris Arreola. But Bogdan Dinu, number 9, clearly not on merit. And he goes in there above Michael Hunter, who also holds a minor WBA title. But for the rest of the rankings, not a whole lot of interesting things going on here. All the same names, slightly different order. Filip Hrgovic, though, he does come in at number 12 following his recent win. But apart from that, in the Dinu one, it's just sort of shuffling of the lower order for the different respective heavyweights that are sort of between number 9 and 15. What do you make of it all? Joyce surging in the WBC, the WBO. If there is a vacant title for the WBO, Joyce is now in position. Would you want to see that rematch with Oleksandr Uysk? Famously, they fought in the amateurs, Usyk getting the win. Drop a comment, loud and often. Hit like, hit subscribe. Follow me on Twitter, boxing_squared. I'm out.